everybody. Welcome to the Stack Ahead podcast. I'm your host, Shubhangi, and today we have with us Hidayat. So, Hidayat is an experienced development manager with a history in information technology and service industry. He's a highly skilled programmer, project manager, has worked in risk management, client delivery, mentorship, and building high performance team. He's also a very big fan of product management and client process optimization and system interaction. So, welcome Hidayat to the show. I mean, there's obviously a lot of stuff I've said, but is there anything you want to add to it?
I think you kind of summarize it perfectly. So, just to give just some quick additional note about me. So, basically, I'm Hidayat. I'm from Mauritius, by the way. It's a small island in the Indian Ocean. I'm basically what we can call to be like 15 plus of experience in what we say software development industry. That's a one-liner, but I'm also the founder and co-founder of podcast similar to One, whereby we promote a lot of IT education, and also a founder of some e-commerce website that we recently. That's a bit
Yeah,
about me.
yeah, that's great. So, I think the first question which I ask to everybody is like, how did you start your journey in this sector? Like, what inspired you or motivated you to, I want to work here, and this is how I want to like create my career around.
To be very honest with you, based on how we've been taught academically, especially in Mauritius, it's highly around result. Okay, at first it wasn't a choice. I was getting good grades in what we call to be computer studies at that time, which is a Cambridge-based SC and HSC that you need to do, and I was getting good grade, I would say, into that. So that was the first push towards it. The Honestly, I was going towards to be more in medicine. This is where I have most of my family members in. But there was kind of a twist in life whereby I had to say, no, let me try, uh, I would say, submerge in IT. And I think one of the first step and the guidance tower that was a teacher. Okay. So I met him once and he said to me, you see that guy, he's doing IT and he has grown, he was doing that, he was like that, then he evolved. You see, it is changing the world. There's lots of things that's being, I would say, implemented now, and it's innovative. I'm quite old, so at that time when we were talking about it, the internet connection was very weak. We did, I think the first social media platform at that time was High Five. I don't know if ever someone has heard it, the new generation.
Yeah,
Facebook came up later. And at that time, when you were talking about IT, was sincerely pure coding. So
yeah,
if you're entering that world, was pure coding.
coding.
And I think one of the reason, the second reason of it was like I met that teacher and he told me, look at that guy, what has he changed in his life being a developer? You can achieve same. So that trend towards being in that IT world to start with.
Yeah, no, I can relate. I can relate to that story because I think, yeah, when initially IT was all about coding and programming. And yeah, and I think all the branches then they started emerging out of from that one, okay, this is not just coding, there is a lot more to it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I think now the next question I'm going to ask you is more about like your key skill set, the project management part of it. So what is a key mindset or attitude that you think is needed from for being like a strong project manager compared to like just an average one?
Yeah, that's a very good one. You know, reality is a bit different from what we see in books. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm not too bookish. I'm direct to the fact. So what we are experiencing today as project management, evolve of AI, how things has changed. Like we said, initially it was pure coding. Now you have multiple branches. For example, we take a simple example. At my time, there was only full stack engineering. We didn't
Yeah.
have like front end, back end,
Mm.
API, or even data. You're doing everything. And then it evolved like it kind of being not silos, but segmented in, I would say, specialized department. Project management, if we see the evolution, how it's being made, the first thing I would say a project management need to have is a strong mindset. That's
Yeah.
what you mentioned. What kind of mindset? It should be very strong because a project manager is not someone who's dealing only with code. Remember
Yeah.
something, when you're in the IT world, code you can change. ChatGPT can write it for you. Human, you can't change. A client you can't change. These things are factors that are very difficult to change. So for me, the first things, if you want to step it in the shoes of a project manager, you need to put that back in your mind. You need to be strong. It's not going to be easy. It's a rodeo ride, I would say, the life roller coaster one, and you're going to face multiple challenges. Nevertheless, there are three things for me that I would put it as attribute or can be mindset as well, or I would say skills that you need to have as a project manager.
Hmm.
Okay, the first one is a lot about your communication. Communication is key. Okay, I will take some basic example, non-IT wife, non-IT related. For example, a husband and a wife. If they don't communicate at a particular point, it will be havoc. Okay. Similarly, communication is quite key. You need to be very fluent. For example, be us. We are Mauritian. We are bilingual. We speak French. We speak English as well. So we need to understand the client how what they want in their languages, and especially when we are dealing with client, be it from a US accent, be it from an SA based accent, be it from a UK based accent, sometimes we may have difficulties to understand, and there is nothing to wrong in asking. So the first thing is your fluency in your language, how you communicate, what you are saying should be very clear. The second part of it is to understand the language of your team, especially in IT as a project manager. When we talk about language of a team, I'm talking about the developer, the QA, the business analyst, the product owner. Whoever is within your team has a special language. These are hints. This is something I've learned throughout the years. Definitely, each one you will talk, you will be very professional with each one, but you need to understand those person very well. For example, I take simple example. You're a developer, you're working, you need to pass everything through a VM, okay? Virtual machine to be able to code on that. Then you push your code on whatever CI/CD pipeline you want, okay? In that particular area, there is a time which is consumed, a lag time, okay? And when your developer is telling you, that story, that user story that I'm going to do, I won't take 1 day, I would take 1.5 days. You should understand that 1.5, it's not you asking him, why are you taking 1.5? You need to understand that at that particular moment, he's having a difficulty, and you need to already understand that that VM is causing him to slow down, and you need to accommodate that. That's one very simple example. Another example is for QA. Sometimes we tend to push QA, automate everything. Everything should be automated. Your test cases should be automated, but there are special cases whereby you can't automate it. And the QA don't need to explain that to you. You as a project manager should always understand, hey, you're saying me you can't automate. You don't know, you ask. Ask the question, why? What happened? Is there an issue? No, we can't. There are multiple business rules. I prefer to do it manually so that we are sure to meet the deadline. These are examples how you can translate your team towards it similarly to your client. That's it. That's another beautiful language. It's poetry, Shakespeare's, if you want to put it, especially when the client is like in a mood like nothing is working, you've
Yeah.
delivered something and it's not the time, and it's you're in a situation whereby delivery is not there, and you need to be very calm and clear towards what you're talking. And then come the second part of communication, which for me is very important, is honesty. You
Hmm.
need to be honest, be it for your client, be it with your team. Recently, I've put something on LinkedIn about sick leave, and I see lots of people reacting very positively about it. Whereby I've taken a scenario, it happens to me. My team was sick on a Monday. Okay, Monday, you jump in. You know this week's going to be intense. You have two big delivery for go live. The client has a high expectation on this particular feature, and boom, your team, most key players are not there. Your senior is not there, your architect is not there. It happens. At that particular moment, you need to be honest with yourself. Yes, it's frustrating. Yes, you have lots of things to understand, to take in. But first, clear your mind, honesty, go and say to your stakeholder, guys, we are in a situation right now. Have few people who are off. The situation is difficult. Definitely, there might be abuse or something like that, but this is not the time to look into that. You need to be honest with your client. My resources are not available. That particular thing, going to your client and saying, the situation like that, that's my plan B. Don't go like nothing is working, but without a plan. You go and say, honestly, we don't have resources right now, we need to take that a step ahead. Maybe we'll need to plan for a plan B so that we can accommodate. So these are very key important point when it comes to communication. I would mention another point which is also very strategic is domain understanding. When we talk about a project manager, I know it's the BA product owner role to understand the domain, but I'll give you a simple example. As a project manager, especially I was in the fintech industry, there was lots of investment platform that was implemented. That wasn't some field that I understood. Shares language, what's an investor, how an investor needs to act, what are the interest rate, what are the refundable amount, what's the OPPs, things like that. These are terms. Definitely, it can be over. We can't focus only on delivery. We need to understand that bit of domain. This is how it works, even if it's 3,000 foot view. We don't care. As a project manager, you need to understand this plug here, this plug here, this plug here. How it works might not be your something that you need to know right now, but you need to know the flow. What's the MVP? How everything works? How everything collates towards each other? This is very important if you know the domain. So communication and domain understanding goes well together. There's two more attributes I would talk about. Is a lot about resource management. Sometimes, in most cases, being a project manager, it's not like you have, it's kind of what we call to be the triangular of project manager to have resources, budget, timeline, those three, right? But there's one which is resources, which is very important. Your team is not just your team, it's your family. At a particular point, it turns out to be your family because you kind of spend more time with them than at home. And when it goes to that, there's two things you need to be very clear. The empathetic work, that is to be empathetic towards your team, understand them is very important. They also needs to understand you. It's not just like, okay, you can take leave, you cannot deliver, yeah, it's fine, it's fine, fine. No, you need to take a stand. They need to know there is something of understanding. There is a situation we understand, but there is a limit. Plus, there is also fairness. That's very important because your team motivation, remember that always. If you know how to manage your resource management, your team motivation defines your delivery. That's few people, you won't see that in book, but if you look at it, if your team is not motivated to deliver, the delivery will be starting to slow down. But if your team is hyper motivated, you would see like the delivery would be like, okay, we are going to meet that, we are going to do that. And you would see that synergy then on. And the final, I would say, kind of attribute, mindset that you need to have, upskilling. Upskilling is not just for the project manager, but for everyone. When we look at it, today's world, people need to upskill, be it at a tech stack, be it at methodology, be it at tooling. Don't stop learning. For me, this is not an attribute for project management. This is an attribute for human being. How it's being evolved in IT, you need to keep adapting yourself. Sometimes they say adapt or perish. This is the reality in IT. If you adapt, it's fine. If you don't adapt, it's going to go. And this is where you lack your chance. And be flexible, which is kind of how adaptability and upskilling work. Be flexible within the team. Try to see outside of the box sometimes. So those kind of fear attributes, communication and domain, resource management, and I would say upskilling and adaptability. These are kind of three main things. Someone wants to be a project manager, wants to go toward that role, that would be very helpful. So these for me kind of summarize. I know I've talked a lot around those three, but these are three things that for me is a must, and these are things that you need to see. It's not just seeing someone having a PMI certificate or having a master. These things are important as well. But the other part, I would say, the other part of the coin is always that other thing that will make your team a success. So that part of that project manager. So these are three things I would say is kind of important.
It's a really good answer. I think it's very like it cuts to the point that these are the four key traits you need to like become a better project manager and like ace the role basically. I think on that note there is a second question which is gonna tie up to this role. So from your personal experience, like can you share a success story when the project was like, for example, like it wasn't going the way you had planned, let's say, and then your positive attitude or mindset and skills helped to like go through and sail through and the project was a success ultimately.
Yes, there is a very good one that kind of sum up everything. Whatever I've said today is very something I've experienced a
Yep.
lot in among multiple projects I've been. One of, I won't say recent, it's like 2, 3 years. I would start with a team. I was embedded in a team. First of all, it's geographically dispersed team. So you have a team in Mauritius, another team was in UK, and another team was in Poland. Okay, and my main developers were in Poland. Okay, and I was just introduced to them just like this. Okay, this is going to be your project manager. He's going to handle that portfolio and so on and so on. And we had a big, I would say, at the start, not a very good communication channel happening. One was maybe time, language barrier, what was happening, how they were very kind of like I had a different mindset towards the project, the team had a different mindset, the client has a different mindset. So at that particular point, I think that was one of the project I was seeing as a failure because when I started it, money was not coming in. It was a very fixed time-based project. From there on, I've sat with someone, and that was my mentor. Don't know, I'm pretty sure he would be hearing your podcast. His name is Boache, and I remember that time he came to me and he said to me three things: How can I help you? What do you need? He didn't even complain about anything. He knows that at that time I was having communication problem. What can we do and everything? He said to me, just cool down, rework everything, reanalyze everything, take a step back. Okay. And eventually we took a step back. I reworked how we were communicating, how the communication from the architect and the BA team was going. We restructured everything and we've changed the approach on communication as well. So it was very fluid. I started to learn a bit of Polish. It was very interesting. So we kind of communicate in their language, they communicate in our language, and we went to the client as a team at that time. And the good success of it was like money flies. So we started with X amount, and it has gone to a very big amount. So that was I was very grateful for that opportunity. But
Hmm.
I understood the importance of understanding empathetic towards your team, the communication, and also that part which was at that time that UK project was a migration of data. And that was kind of my first migration of data. I know you're the specialist in that, but when I'm talking here, I'm talking about 3, 4 years back.
Yeah.
And at that time, data was not as what we are seeing here. Yes, we did have Snowflake, we did have Fabric, I think was not here. I think we had data breaks. We did have large I would say data centers or something like that. But the reality was everything was new for everyone, you know, and the developer was learning. We were understanding. I was getting to at a point why is it not moving? Why is it not moving? Then I realized no, everything is new for everyone. Like it's new for me. It's my first migration data project, but for them as well was their first. So we kind of work together and get to a point. And I realized as a project manager, definitely KPI is very important, but that KPI for me at that time was not just to make the project successful, it was not just to get more project out of the client and so on, but that was my first data project. That was when I say data project, I've done previously many data projects, but this one was very huge. We're
Yeah.
talking here of merging 5 to 10 legacy system of 20 years of data. So
Hmm.
moving towards one main core. But at that time, all that synergy wasn't there. And we started that and we getting that. And I want to share something. The success of it wasn't me. The success of it was the team towards me. So the acceptance I've got, I was like an intruder just jumping in on a project like this.
Yeah.
They were there for like 4 months before me, but they embarked me, they welcome me, they train me. That's where that domain language is important. How the architect react, what they are doing, why they are doing this way, how to get it to that way, what the client wants, what the developer is delivering. At least as a project manager, you should know all that. It's not like, okay, how much time you're doing it? When is the delivery? Are you done? Is the status in done or ready to deploy? So these were things that make me realize that I think that considered to be one of my most successful projects.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a very good example of like how, because I think it happens a lot. Like sometimes people, they enter different projects on certain timelines, like they aren't in the start of the process. So it becomes obviously like a lot of work to like, embed into that whole thing and learn and go along and like lead the project. And the next question is tied to this question again, is this answer basically. So I think, why do you think it is important for a project manager to understand the language of developers, QA, and then business analysts, for example, if they're not doing the technical work?
Correct. I know there is that question, should a project manager be a technical guy and so on. So I'm not going
Yeah,
to that route.
yeah,
I'm going to the other route whereby I know my background is more of a developer, so I shift up towards management
mm,
5 years ago. So it's a very different sector. But reality, if you don't understand, it's very simple. I will answer your question in a more, I would say, husband and wife way, or boyfriend and girlfriend way. Okay, imagine you have two-person which are not talking to each other. Okay, they are in the same house, eating, drinking, sitting, watching TV, but they are not talking. How do you feel the atmosphere is?
yeah. No, I can imagine.
It's tough. You,
Yeah,
you, you imagine that like you are there, there's tension, there is frustration. He's not talking to me, she's not responding to me, she's not understanding. So there's a riff.
yeah,
Okay. So tomorrow, let's say we take those two-person and we have other two-person, they are very much like, hey, how you doing? They're communicating. You're seeing like, hey, what have you done during the weekend? Hey, I want to skydiving. So you see some communication. Okay, you have two of those kind of people, two group. Group A, they are not talking. Group B, they are communicating and everything. So now we toss them and we say to them, okay, you are being given a job. You're going to be put in escape room. You know what's an escape room? A game whereby you need to
yep.
escape from the room. Okay,
Mm,
you need to collaborate together. Who do you think will be able to collaborate together? The first one or the second one? Obviously, it would be kind of the second one
yep,
because they are communicating, they will find solution together. So this is exactly where it comes. As a project manager, we are not telling a project manager go and code. We are not telling a project manager go and test. We are not going to tell a project manager write a user story. But if sometime the case is if you need to do it, you do it. If you can do it, why not? My
yep,
background is a bit more technical. If I see a developer making a mistake in their code, why not? If I see the architect going a direction which is not the right direction, why not advise him? I'm not here
yep,
to take his job or anything, but talking is very important. So once you understand, once you communicate, that's where it builds to what we call to be a synergy. Okay,
yep,
and that helps in delivery. If you don't have synergy, it's more like I take an example. Synergy is equivalent to fuel, gas. You're going to put in a car. Okay,
yep,
if you don't have gas, you don't have fuel, you don't have now we have electric car mostly, so you don't have electricity in your car, you can't drive it, right?
yep,
Similarly, your team is the car, the fuel, the gas, the electricity, whatever you're putting for it to drive, that's your synergy. And this is why, if you understand each other, you would be able to move further. But again, I want to put some, I would say, double quote here. I'm not saying a project manager needs to go and code, do automation testing, write everything, but they need to understand what are those. I've noticed it throughout the years. There's two kind of project managers or manager that comes in at a particular point. One is the technical, super technical, that knows everything. The second one is kind of doesn't know everything, that is very bookish. That's the reality what we are having. And the middle one is what we've just been describing. He understands a bit of what's happening, but he's also academically back so as to be able to deliver the project. So that
yeah.
would be kind of my approach towards this.
Yeah, I think no, I think it's a really good answer, because I've seen this like a lot of times, like there is like no clear communication between like multiple people, and then obviously the project has to, it has to struggle. So it's always obviously important, as you said, to like have that synergy. Um, I think on that line, the next question is gonna be something which everybody's talking around in the market. I think which is generative AI. So obviously, since AI is now a part of every role, like forget one dimension, it exists everywhere now. The next question is like, what aspects of project management? are most human and then hardest for AI to replicate?
Honestly speaking, for me, my conclusion today, AI is something we need to adapt to. You remember earlier I said you need to upskill yourself, you need to adapt yourself. AI is that category of situation whereby you have something new coming. We don't know in 10 years what will come. Maybe there would be someone doing the podcast and we are just right prompting it and the
Yeah.
podcast has already been generated. We don't know that. But the
Hmm.
reality in project management is traditional project manager what we had in the past focused a lot on process administration, resource planning, scheduling, budgeting, risk tracking, capacity planning. All that can be done via AI. I won't go through the tooling. We have a lot. Any tool you take, Monday.com, you take Asana, you take any tool,
Yeah.
DevOps, whatever you come forward, there would be a piece of AI that can do that work and can do it better and quicker than you. Okay. And the impact here is the reality is simple project, we don't need a project manager. I
Hmm.
repeat, I know I'm going to have a lot of you are firing people, you are a project manager, but the reality is like that. You can't say a simple project, like very simple project. Let's take it a 1 month, 3 week project. You don't need a project manager on that. That's the reality because what are you going to mentor? What are you going to follow up? Everything can be automated. Let's take an N8 workflow, something from scratch, Google, and we put some workflow around. We work it perfectly. It will give you what you want.
Yeah.
But AI can handle, coming to your question, the administrative side of things. For
Yeah.
example, budgeting, tracking, risk, scheduling, and everything. Okay. There come another way whereby the value of PM should be more strategy, leadership, client management. You can't say an AI to talk to the client. We are not
Yeah.
there yet. So that part of human talking, this is where it comes to relates a bit to our your first. Most of your question was like, how can you communicate with the team? Why you
Hmm.
need to understand the language of the team. AI is not there yet that can understand that. AI don't have emotion. The day AI has emotion, we are dead. So that's my clear conclusion on AI. The day AI has emotion, we are dead. But reality right now, they don't have, so we need to work with them. So
Yeah.
that's one part. Second part, you need to add value to you as a PM. You can't say you're a project manager for me in 2025 and you're
Hmm.
handling one project. Why
Yeah.
not two? Why not three? You should be able to do that because what's taking you time? We don't have time. We need to do tracking, but this can be automated. I don't have time. I need to do budgeting. This can
Yeah.
be automated. Right process, you just need to learn how to adapt to it so that you can get it. Nevertheless, there are some, I would say the word blind spot for
Hmm.
AI right now, the
Yeah.
psychology of the team, the dynamics of the team, what we call to be the synergy. I often refer to dirty politics, but let's say politics now, politic of the team. You need to understand how the politic of the team works. This architect works better with this developer. This is a reality. I don't care. Till we have delivery, till we have something coming out of the outcome, I don't care. If that architect needs to work only with that developer and they are very happy, they can do every of my project. Why not? Let's do that. Team motivation.
Yeah.
Sometimes we bind team motivation with three things, like money, like promotion, everything like that. You've been doing something challenging, or finally you're just getting a promotion, which is kind of similar to one. But reality, team motivation, it differs. Someone is fighting within the team because he wants to prove himself. That's all. He's not
Yeah.
interested in promotion. He's not interested in increment or nothing. He's interested in promoting himself personally, academic. This you can't. I don't think there's an AI today that's going to detect like this guy he's working for this with that with this and that
Yeah.
permission, I would say motivation. And finally, when we look at how I would say managing a team, navigating now, it's like a boat. Okay, if you put AI with a boat and say within the boat there is no captain and we just say the boat, okay, go from X to Y, these
Hmm.
are your to coordinate a straight line, just do it. Okay, let's
Yep.
say now within that, it's fine, everything is fine, the sea is good, weather is fine. Let's say I have a storm coming in. Let's
Yep.
say I have a tsunami coming in. Let's
Hmm.
say I have ad hoc event coming in. These are events that would change my direction. I need to shift from this, from this, from that. if they haven't been able, we didn't have that pause data, AI won't be able to know what to do.
Yeah.
But as a project manager, you need to be kind of open. That's why you need to think outside of the box. Tsunami is coming. Okay, I don't go. I wait. There's a storm. I need to understand how kind of storm. Is it strong? Is it weak? Am I going to have long wait? Is my boat ready for that? The boat is your team right now. You need to
Yeah.
be like the umbrella for your team. And like I said, mastering of communication, alignment of success. And my idea today, the PM industry is not dying, it's evolving. That's the reality. It's evolving, it's evolution happening within the humankind.
Yeah.
And PM now needs to adapt, combining one skill set, which is human leadership skill set, with a high demand of I would say AI project management too. That's the best way how we can collate everything like in one day. So that would be kind of like the not the most popular question. Is AI replacing project manager? But
Yeah.
reality, it's evolving. We need to adapt and we need to combine our skill sets to move
So
forward.
yeah, I think basically like you're saying that it is gonna augment the way project managers work right now, like make things faster and efficient for them. And I think yeah, it's a good point that like they cannot still not replace the human side of like interacting with somebody yet. So
Yeah.
so yeah, definitely. So yeah, no, sounds good. So I think now I'm on the last part of the show. So I'm gonna ask you a bunch of rapid fire questions, and ideally you are supposed to only give a one worded answer, but you can give one to three
Okay.
words depending if there's a question that needs more like so the first question is Monday.com or Asana?
Asana.
Okay. Uh
I'm a bit quick. Is it too quick? I need
yeah,
to wait to tell me.
okay.
Can I
Yeah, no,
say both? Can I say
um
both or I need to
no,
choose one?
I mean you can ideally. I mean, but it would be nice to have one answer because that's like a safe
Okay.
answer, like saying both.
Allez, let's go. Let's do it.
But yeah, most people they took like couple of seconds to answer because they had like harder choices, to pick from. Okay, dark mode or light mode?
Dark mode.
Okay, one book that changed the way you think.
Enjoy life.
Okay, first tech gadget you ever owned.
Pokemon Go, I think it's called.
Okay,
I don't know. Yogi, I forget the name. It's as if you are kind of feeding a pet.
okay.
I forget how do we call
No,
it.
I know Pokemon Go.
Tamagotchi. It's called Tamagotchi.
Okay. What's your go-to productivity hack?
Sleep, 5 minutes
Okay.
sleep, like a short sleep. 5 minutes.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I would like other people have given a lot different answer. I think this is one of the most unique answer I've ever like received. So one AI tool you can't live without right now,
ChatGPT, the paid one.
the pro version. Okay.
Yeah, the version.
This is more like I think it's a more developer oriented question, so probably you will have to keep your developer hat on. Tabs or spaces?
That.
Okay. Um, Next question is dream mentor, past or present, you would learn to love from.
There's a lot. That one I would choose for three people. There would be my first mentor, which is someone called Ishad. He's a Mauritian guy. There's one which is called Avinash,
Okay.
and there's one which is called Boaje, which is a
Yeah.
Polish guy. These are three person that really impact my life.
Okay. Great. Biggest misconception about project management.
Project manager gets lots of money.
Okay. Okay. Great. I think the last question is if you were not in technology, like in any kind of technology work, what career would you be in?
Farmer. I
Okay.
like to grow plant, hydroponic, anything that it's related to farming or agriculture. That's something I love to do.
Okay, great. And with that, we come to the end of today's show. Thank you, everybody, for joining. The recording of this will be uploaded on the YouTube channel, and I will post all the details there. Thank you, Hidayat, again for your time.
Thanks a lot. Thanks to have me here on your show. I really appreciate that. Thanks a
Thank
lot.
you. Thank you.